What if the secret to Viking vitality wasn't tea found in their steel, or the ships they sailed, but hidden in gardens long lost to time? Imagine mist drifting slowly over abandoned stone garden beds, silent witnesses to a forgotten way of life. Beneath the fog, gnarled roots twist deep in pit-rich soil, remnants of crops once cherished and cultivated. These roots are more than plants. They are echoes of survival, health, and ritual practices that sustained a people hardened by cold and conquest. As the morning light touches the moss-covered stones, the past stirs quietly beneath, waiting to be uncovered and understood. Faint rune carvings, worn by centuries of wind and rain, mark the stone's symbols of reverence for the crops they protected. These gardens were sacred spaces, where soil met spirit, and cultivation was as much a right as a necessity. Each rune whispers of rituals and stories intertwined with the very roots below. Tonight, we embark on a journey to reclaim these vegetables Vikings swore by and to unravel the mystery of why they vanished, lost beneath layers of history and earth. Their roots tell stories once forgotten, now coming back to life. The first light of dawn seeps softly through the thick, hammered turf walls of a farmhouse. Frost clings stubbornly to the rough-hewn timber. A smoke curls slowly upward from the dying hearth. Inside, Astrid cups her hands around the last embers, seeking warmth in the biting cold. Her eyes fall upon empty peat baskets, once filled with the season's harvest, now hollow and silent. Outside, a raven's sharp call pierces the stillness, mingling with the faint drip of melting snow, sounds that seem to echo forgotten promises. The air hangs heavy with the weight of absence, a quiet desperation lingering in every shadow. A small hand tugs at Astrid's sleeve. It's Bjorn, her son, pointing toward a weathered stone standing near the farmhouse, etched long ago with symbols of a turnip and barley. The stone now bears only faded traces, ghostly reminders of abundance that have all but vanished. Astrid follows his gaze, her fingers tracing the faint grooves left by time and weather. Once, these symbols promised harvest and hope, she murmurs. Now, silence. Kneeling on the frozen ground, Astrid breaks the hardened soil with trembling hands. Only frost-shriveled earth responds, barren and unyielding beneath her touch. Her breath clouds the cold air as she pauses, the weight of loss settling around her like the morning mist. The scene fades to black, the soft whisper of wind blending with a heartbeat like drum, a silent question hanging in the air. The earth remembers, but will it forgive? Sunlight floods a vibrant greenhouse where heirloom carrots, beets, and kale burst with color beneath glass. Nearby, an urban rooftop farm hums with activity, hydroponic lettuce thriving in sleek, controlled conditions. These are modern battlegrounds, in a vital fight for seed diversity, preserving ancient tomatoes, pumpkins, and rare greens from extinction. Workers tend rows of leafy greens, their hands steady in the warm glow, nurturing life in a world increasingly aware of what's at stake. Today, this effort symbolizes hope and urgency, a determination to protect the fragile threads of our food heritage before they disappear. Yet, amidst this global struggle, a different story unfolds. The vegetables once sworn by Vikings, root crops and hardy greens grown in cold northern soils, have vanished. Archival sketches of Viking gardens fade into empty soil, where no seedling now rises, while over 1,000 heirloom seed projects worldwide strive to preserve diversity. The Viking garden remains lost to time and memory. This absence highlights a gap in our understanding and stewardship of ancient foodways, a missing link in the story of survival. Statistics reveal a stark reality. 75% of global crop diversity has disappeared in just the last century. Animated charts illustrate the alarming decline in varieties, contrasting sharply with the thousands of seed banks and heirloom initiatives that fight to reverse the trend. The loss is sobering, a reminder that preserving what remains requires urgent action, lest more histories be erased beneath the soil. A powerful image closes the scene, a split screen showing Bjorn's empty peat basket, symbolizing vanished abundance, opposite a modern farmer's basket overflowing with vibrant root. Beside them, a rune-etched stone faces a QR-coded seed packet, old world and new world standing in stark opposition. The past holds mysteries essential to our future. Rediscovering these forgotten gardens may be key to feeding the generations yet to come. Vikings once cultivated vegetables resilient enough to thrive in harsh northern climates, shaped by necessity, ritual, and the unforgiving earth beneath their feet. These hardy crops were more than mere sustenance. They were lifelines engineered through centuries of adaptation and cultural significance. In fields scarred by ice and stone, Viking farmers planted roots and greens that bridged nature and tradition, weaving together survival and ceremony. Yet today, these vital vegetables have vanished, leaving a profound gap in both our genetic diversity and cultural memory. Their disappearance erases not only plants, but a vital chapter in human resilience and ingenuity. Our journey now moves beyond myth into science, where archaeobotanists painstakingly unearth ancient plant DNA from peat bogs, middens, and ice cores. Labs hum with activity as samples reveal genetic secrets long buried beneath frozen soil. Meanwhile, cultural rituals captured in sagas intertwine seed, soil, and story, illustrating how Vikings revered their crops beyond nourishment. This convergence of biology and folklore uncovers a hidden history and intricate relationship between people and plants that shaped lives and landscapes alike. We invite you to join this exploration, traveling from rugged fields to twilight-shrouded stone circles. Through immersive reenactments of planting, harvest, and feast, combined with cutting-edge scientific discoveries, we will reveal the lost roots of Viking sustenance. This is a story of survival, culture, and mystery. Join us as we unearth the roots of Viking sustenance and why these treasures vanished forever. Close-up shots reveal charred seed fragments from Viking archaeological sites passing under a microscope's scanning lens. Each grain is meticulously examined by lab technicians, uncovering clues to crops long forgotten. The science here is precise and cutting-edge, bridging centuries through tiny remnants of plant life. These charred remains carry secrets of vanished gardens, waiting to be read by those who understand their language. Their fragile surfaces speak volumes about Viking cultivation practices and the crops that once sustained them. This microscopic window into the past opens new paths to understanding a lost agricultural heritage. Lake sediment cores extracted from Nordic waters reveal layers of pollen deposited over centuries. Within these layers, brassica pollen surges around 900 CE, signaling a period of active cultivation by Vikings. This peak is followed by an abrupt decline, marking the disappearance of these crops from the landscape. Pollen grains, preserved in these natural archives, tell a silent story of growth and loss. Through this biological record, we see not just plants but a narrative of environmental and cultural change encoded in earth and time. Nature itself has preserved the echoes of vanished fields. Animated graphs, charting medieval versus modern pollen data, visualize the dramatic loss in crop diversity over time. Data points illuminate the stark contrast between the rich agricultural variety once sustained Vikings and the diminished profiles today. These visual comparisons make the invisible visible, revealing the extent to which time and circumstance have erased crucial genetic resources. The scientific mapping of these changes turns abstract loss into concrete evidence. It demonstrates a shrinking world of plant life that once thrived under Viking care, but now exists mostly in memory and science. Excavations at Birka and Hidibi bring to light charred, round, ribbed root fragments. Unlike any existing these seed remnants are carefully brushed free from soil layers, preserving their unique shapes and textures. Their unfamiliar form suggests the presence of vegetables now lost to history, highlighting the distinctiveness of Viking-era agriculture. Each fragment is a tangible connection to a vanished garden, a genetic mystery buried beneath centuries of earth and human activity. This discovery challenges modern understanding and invites deeper investigation into forgotten food. Radiocarbon dating of these seed fragments places their cultivation squarely between 850 and 1000 CE, coinciding with Viking expansion and settlement. Lab technicians label and analyze each sample, their digital readouts providing temporal markers that anchor these crops in history. These chronological stamps give precise context to the plant's rise and disappearance, linking biological evidence directly to human activity and environmental shifts during the Viking Age. The timing helps frame a narrative where agriculture, culture, and climate intertwine in complex patterns of survival and loss. At the University of Copenhagen, scientists extract partial chloroplast DNA from recovered seed remains. Genetic analysis reveals a lineage closely related to wild cabbage, but distinct in its remarkable cold tolerance, adapted to the harsh Viking climate. Animated strands of DNA intertwine on screen as researchers manipulate sequencing instruments with expert care. This molecular window uncovers traits that once allowed these crops to thrive in northern environments. The work brings ancient genetic codes to light, offering clues about Viking agricultural innovation and resilience against environmental stress. Dr. Ingrid Sagard explains the meticulous process of reading genomes preserved for centuries in charred seed fragments. The team faces challenges: degradation, fragmentary data, but each breakthrough brings the past into sharper focus. These laboratory revelations unlock previously hidden chapters of Viking life, revealing not just the plants they grew, but the knowledge embedded in their cultivation practices. The scientific pursuit becomes a dialogue between past and present, bridging time through DNA and illuminating a forgotten agricultural legacy. The Little Ice Age's early precursors brought colder temperatures and unpredictable frosts that severely impacted Viking agriculture. Stark images of frost-cracked soil and barren fields illustrate the harsh realities faced by farmers. These climatic shifts stressed gardens once rich and productive, contributing to the decline of sensitive vegetable varieties. The chilling grip of nature rewrote the landscape and human responses, forcing adaptation or abandonment of long-cultivated crops. This environmental narrative underscores the fragility of agricultural systems amid shifting climates. Peatland expansion acidified soils, further compromising Viking crop survival. Cross-sectional visuals of soil layers reveal peat moss encroaching over once fertile ground. This slow, silent shift altered the chemical balance, rendering fields inhospitable to plants accustomed to neutral or alkaline soils. Such gradual environmental change compounded climate stressors, eroding Viking agricultural foundations from beneath. This ecological transformation played a key role in the loss of ancient vegetables, marking the interplay between nature's forces and human sustenance. Advanced CGI reconstructs a Viking garden at peak bloom, lush rows of hardy vegetables thriving under attentive care. Time-lapse animation shows vibrant growth giving way to sudden frost, wilting crops, and turning green to brown. This visualization captures the fragility of life sustained by both human effort and natural cycles. The garden's story of care, abundance, and sudden loss reflects the broader fate of Viking horticulture, frozen in time but brought vividly to life through technology. Bjorn's empty peat basket overlays with drifting pollen grains, a poignant symbol of vanished abundance. The camera lingers on this empty vessel against a bleak, snow-dusted landscape. This visual metaphor evokes the cultural and genetic void left by lost Viking crops. The silence of the soil echoes in the absence of these once vital plants, underscoring the enduring legacy of loss. It reminds us that beneath frozen ground lie stories and seeds waiting to be reclaimed. The morning light reveals stone terraces carved carefully into the coastal hills, their surfaces dusted with lingering frost. Neat rows of planting beds stretch across the landscape, each furrow a testament to centuries of toil and knowledge. This land is more than soil, it is home and altar, shaped by hands that honored both earth and season. Here, the ancient rhythms of cultivation continue quietly beneath the crisp air, promising new life even as the cold lingers. Shadows stretch long and cool, embracing a day ripe with potential and the weight of heritage. Astrid kneels at the edge of a seed drill, her fingers steady and deliberate as she uses bone tools to tend the earth. Her voice is a soft murmur in Old Norse, a blessing whispered to the ice turnips and rock cabbage she plants. Each word carries the weight of ancestral hopes and prayers for growth and survival through harsh seasons. Her breath mingles with the crisp air as she works, the ritual, an intimate communion between human and soil. Every seed sown carries more than promise. It carries the lifeblood of a people rooted in land and legend. Bjorn gathers the freshly dug roots, dipping each one carefully into a mixture of ash and lime. This folk method has been refined over generations to boost the plant's resistance against frost and prolong the harvest season. His hands move with practiced care, reflecting a deep knowledge born from years of watching the land's cycles. Steam rises from the frozen earth as the roots are coated, a fragile shield forged from the very remnants of past winters. This simple ritual embodies hope and resilience, an act of craftsmanship in the face of a relentless climate. Eric arrives at the settlement bearing salted fish and rare seeds, precious commodities linking distant coastal clans. His weathered face carries stories of long voyages and hard bargains. The exchange is both economic necessity and cultural lifeline, preserving diversity in crops and stories alike. Baskets heavy with salt-crusted fish sit alongside small leather pouches containing seeds from far-off lands. In this meeting, survival is shared and renewed, a delicate web of trade sustaining fragile communities through uncertain times. The market pulses with life as farmers barter dried roots for amber beads, seeds passed down by lineage changing hands with care. Laughter rings out among children weaving through the stalls, their joy a bright contrast to the earthiness of coarse leaves and fresh soil. The air hums with earthy scents, mingling with smoke from nearby cooking fires. Hands clutch tightly woven baskets filled with produce, while voices negotiate and stories are exchanged. This vibrant scene captures the heart of community, where survival, commerce, and kinship intertwine. The tactile crunch of coarse leaves underfoot blends with the rich aroma of earth and wood smoke, mingling with the hearty voices of the clan. Close-ups reveal textured greens shimmering with morning dew, their scent grounding all who gather. The smoky breath of cooking fires curls lazily into the crisp air, enveloping the senses in warmth and memory. Life here is rooted deeply in the physical world, where touch, smell, and sound connect people intimately to the land that sustains them. As daylight wanes, Hands work steadily to preserve the day's harvest. Leaves wilt slowly as they steep in brine, while roots are gently buried in root cellars, lined with soft sphagnum moss, nature's own refrigerator. Wooden bins and earthen pots hold carefully sealed jars, each a covenant with a coming winter. The ritual of preservation is both practical and sacred, ensuring that the bounty of the earth endures beyond the fleeting seasons. Each act of care carries forward the legacy of continuity and survival. With work done, the clan gathers to share a communal feast of roasted root stew and pickled shoots. Honoring the earth's generosity, plates heaped with steaming food are passed among smiling faces, illuminated by flickering firelight. Songs and stories fill the longhouse, weaving connection and gratitude through the night. This celebration is both nourishment and ceremony, a moment to honor the cycle of labor, harvest, and rest that binds the community together. As the fire's glow dims, seeds are carefully wrapped in supple goatskin pouches and placed by the hearth for safekeeping. The gentle crackle of embers accompanies this quiet vigilance, a nightly ritual safeguarding the future. Soft firelight illuminates the tightly sealed bundles, each holding the potential for renewal. The hearth's warmth promises hope amidst winter's chill, a silent vow to continue the cycle of life and sustenance. Elder Olaf's voice rises above the evenings, calm, carrying a weight of generations. When these roots fade, so too shall we. His words echo through the longhouse, a solemn warning entwined with ancestral memory. His shadowed face, flickering in firelight, embodies the fragile balance between survival and loss. The fate of the clan is bound to these delicate plants, and in their endurance lies the story of a people and their land. Bjorn clutches a handful of precious seeds, tucking them close in a worn pouch. His youthful face is marked by quiet resolve, carrying the heavy responsibility of preservation. Each seed embodies not just potential growth, but a promise to guard and nurture what remains. In this act, the past meets the future, and hope is entrusted to the next generation. His eyes reflect determination, the unspoken vow to restore what time and hardship have threatened to erase. Outside, the wind howls against the longhouse, rattling the door with nature's ancient rhythm. The sound carries through the night, a chorus echoing the clan's endurance and struggle. Trees sway under the relentless breath of winter, and the door's shudder becomes a symbol of resilience and yielding despite the storm. This elemental song intertwines with the quiet strength found within the walls, reminding all who listen of life's fragile persistence. Life here moves in a circle: planting, harvest, preservation, and inevitable loss. Each step is woven with ritual meaning and practical knowledge. Montages show hands planting seeds, gathering roots, and carefully storing the yield. This cyclical process sustains the clan but also carries the weight of fragility. The ever-turning wheel of seasons reminds the community of their place within a larger, often unforgiving natural order. Every ritual act reinforces survival, blending farming techniques with spiritual safeguarding. Hands trace runes over seed pouches, while chants murmur in the background. Each gesture is a prayer, each seed a covenant between people and earth. This sacred purpose transforms daily labor into a powerful assertion of life and continuity. Through ritual, the community fortifies itself against uncertainty, weaving belief and action into a resilient whole. The soil beneath their feet holds memory layers of ancient crops and stories buried deep. Roots push through dark earth, connecting past and present. This living archive is more than dirt. It is the foundation of identity and history. Every harvest reawakens these buried legacies, reminding the clan that their story is inscribed not only in memory but in the earth itself. As dawn breaks over the rugged fields, Bjorn walks forward, clutching seeds, the first light illuminating his path. His promise to protect and restore these roots is a thread connecting generations. In his hands, the past finds new life, and the cycle of growth continues. This vow carries hope, ensuring that what was lost may one day bloom again. A close-up reveals a wooden board, its surface deeply etched with runes depicting the cycle of seed, soil, and sun. The intricate symbols trace ancient wisdom, preserved in grain and groove. Children gather around, their small fingers following the grooves, as if unlocking a language older than words. This board is more than art. It is a talisman, a link between past and present, embodying the Viking understanding that vegetables were sacred lifelines, woven into the fabric of survival and cosmic order. The carvings speak silently, grounding youthful hands in a lineage where food was also magic. As dawn breaks, women gather juniper and mugwort, their movements deliberate and reverent. Smoke curls upward from bundled herbs, filling the air with a scent both sharp and sweet. This is the spring ritual of seed-waking, a ceremony signaling the end of winter's dormancy and the beginning of life anew. The rising smoke carries prayers to the earth and ancestors, a sacred bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds. Each wisp of smoke is an invocation, urging the soil to awaken and seeds to sprout, binding human hope to nature's cycle. Around piles of carefully selected seeds, women chant names from generations past. Their voices rise and fall in rhythm, weaving ancestral lineage into the very essence of the seeds. This act transforms simple grains into vessels of resilience, connecting past, present, and future. The chant is more than sound. It is a sacred transmission, a collective breath infusing life and strength. Hands hover protectively over the seeds, cupping and blessing them. Through this ritual, identity and survival intertwine, ensuring that each planted root carries the spirit of those who came before. In local sagas, the goddess Sif embodies grain and fertility, her presence entwined with wild cabbage spirits who guard growth and harvest. This mythic link elevates vegetables beyond mere sustenance. They become sacred symbols of abundance and blessing. Reenactments bring the tale to life. Farmers donning costumes, moving in ritual dance to honor Sif's benevolence. Her blessing is seen as essential to the earth's generosity, ensuring that crops flourish and communities endure. These stories anchor farming in the spiritual, transforming labor into worship. Farmers participate in the blessing dance, their movements slow and deliberate, hands gripping carved sickles. They dance in a circle, a physical embodiment of the earth's cycles. At the ritual's peak, they press their tools into the soil, symbolizing union with the land. This act is not merely symbolic, but a deep expression of reverence and hope, aligning human effort with natural rhythm. The dance creates a shared space where joy and solemnity coexist, reinforcing bonds within the community and between people and earth. Shared planting ceremonies play a crucial psychological role, easing anxieties about uncertain seasons and fostering communal trust. Gathered around fires or in fields, participants find strength in collective action. The rhythmic chants and shared intentions create a soothing environment, transforming individual worries into shared resolve. This collective ritual grounds the community, providing not only practical support, but emotional cohesion. In a world defined by unpredictability, these ceremonies serve as anchors, reinforcing confidence in the land and each other. Ancient rituals bear striking resemblance to modern mindfulness practices shown to lower cortisol and promote well-being. Just as group meditation cultivates calm and presence, These Viking ceremonies harmonized body and mind through shared focus and ritual. Split-screen visuals reveal the parallels. A firelit gathering, chanting in Old Norse alongside a contemporary meditation circle breathing in unison. This connection underscores the enduring human need for ritual to manage stress and build resilience, revealing that these ancient practices anticipated contemporary science in regulating emotion. Elder Olaf's weathered face conveys deep understanding as he holds a single seed between thumb and forefinger. They believed a seed carries memory, lose it, and you lose who you are, he says. This encapsulates the Viking view that seeds are living stories, embodying identity and heritage. To guard seeds was to guard the clan's soul, preserving continuity across generations. Olaf's reflection reminds us that each seed carries not just genetic material but cultural essence, linking people to place and past. When gardens and seeds vanish, so to do the stories entwined with them. Fields lie fallow, and cultural memory fractures, eroding identity and connection. Visuals shift from withering plants to barren fields, shadows lengthening across empty earth. The loss is not only ecological but spiritual, a rupture in the chain that binds people to their history. This decline evokes urgency, a call to remember and revive what is at risk of disappearing. Before the silence grows too deep to break, seeds serve as living time capsules, encoding ancestral knowledge in their biology and ritual importance. Ancient seed collections reveal layers of history embedded within each grain, while overlays of runes and DNA strands illustrate this intricate relationship. These vessels carry forward the ingenuity and resilience of generations past, a tangible link through centuries. Their preservation is a preservation of memory itself, an act of stewardship for cultural heritage and biological diversity alike. The final scene brings hope, as new seedlings break through fertile soil, tended by elders and children together. This revival is more than agricultural, it is a reclaiming of stories and strength embedded in seed lore. Hands plant with care and ceremony, bridging past and future. The closing line underscores the deep bond between survival and story. To save a seed is to save a story and a people. Through this restoration, the echoes of Viking gardens live on, nourishing both land and legacy. Beneath the frozen ground, an underground root cellar stretches into shadow, carved deep into permafrost. Moss-lined bins overflow with hardy turnips and resilient roots, stored to endure the harshest winters. These vaults were lifelines, vital for survival through long polar nights, yet their protection was fragile against forces beyond human control. Frost traces delicate patterns on stone walls, the cold, silent, and unyielding. Though built with care and ingenuity, even the sturdiest stores could not withstand the relentless passage of time and changing climates. Their walls hold stories of resilience, but also of inevitable loss. Root pits were carefully constructed, layered with charcoal to absorb moisture, sand to provide drainage, and driftwood ash to inhibit decay. These natural materials created microenvironments, regulating humidity and temperature, preserving crops through bitter winters. A cross-section reveals the pit's architecture, a simple yet effective design born of close observation and trial. This ingenious method allowed vegetables to remain edible long after the growing season ended. It was a marriage of Earth's resources and human knowledge, a testament to Viking adaptation and survival instincts. Above the root pits, smoke-infused lofts offered protection beyond temperature control. The acrid scent of smoke drifted through rafters, acting as a natural deterrent against mold and vermin. Rats, notorious for destroying stores, avoided these smoky sanctuaries, keeping precious crops safe. Wisps of smoke curled lazily around timber beams, filling the air with a protective haze. This subtle but critical layer of defense turned storage spaces into guarded vaults, where harvests could rest undisturbed until the long winter's end. Lactobacillus-rich brines preserved vegetables, transforming them into pickled stores, capable of lasting through months without sunlight. Jars bubbled quietly, their contents alive with microscopic activity that warded off. Recipes for these brines were guarded secrets, passed down from mother to daughter, encoded in handwritten scrolls and oral tradition. Each brine was more than preservation, it was a ritual, a promise of sustenance and survival amid the frozen darkness. This ancestral knowledge ensured that the clan's lifelines remained vibrant against the harshest odds. Eric's trade routes brought more than salted fish. They introduced southern carrots and onions, exotic crops not native to northern soils. These new seeds carried the promise of growth and nourishment, yet also the risk of ecological disruption. Animated maps traced the flow of goods and seeds, revealing a complex web of exchange that connected Viking coastal settlements to distant lands. Trade was a force of renewal, blending cultures and crops. Yet, with new arrivals came change, as hybrid strains began to replace native vegetables, altering the agricultural landscape. Seed mixing, while a source of innovation, sometimes resulted in sterile hybrids incapable of reproduction. DNA strands, once vibrant, failed to replicate fully, signaling genetic bottlenecks that endangered crop diversity. Geneticist Professor Lars Nystrom explains how such unintended consequences weakened the resilience of Viking gardens. The promise of hybrid vigor, sometimes turned into a trapless of viable seeds, meant loss of heritage. This genetic collapse echoed beyond agriculture, threatening the continuity of lifeways dependent on these plants. Around 940 CE, a massive volcanic eruption triggered a sudden climatic catastrophe, a volcanic winter that smothered sunlight with ash clouds. Frost descended early, killing crops in a single devastating season. Fields once vibrant with life turned barren, unable to sustain the communities reliant upon them. This abrupt environmental shift shattered Viking agricultural stability, marking a turning point where nature's fury overwhelmed human adaptation. The loss was swift, leaving behind a silence where gardens once thrived. Human conflict compounded these natural disasters. Norse expansionism brought raids that scorched local fields, destroying what remained. Meanwhile, imperial monarchs imposed grain taxes, stripping farmers of their vital stores. Flames consumed fields, and tax collectors' demands deepened hardship, further eroding the delicate balance of Viking agriculture. This dual assault of war and governance undermined seed preservation, fracturing the connection between people and their land. The scars of conflict lingered in both soil and memory. Dr. Freya Lundquist details how genetic bottlenecks, visible in seed samples, reflect a once rich diversity now severely diminished. Laboratory charts show shrinking varieties and narrowing gene pools, a silent testimony to vulnerability. These bottlenecks expose how environmental pressures and human actions combine to erode Viking agricultural resilience. The scientific evidence paints a picture of decline, highlighting the fragility of the crop heritage that once sustained entire communities. Professor Lars Nystrom laments that without living descendants of these crops, their genomes represent lost chapters in history. DNA sequencing fades to blank screens, symbolizing stories that can no longer be told. Without seeds, these vital links to the past wither away, leaving cultural and biological voids. This loss underscores the importance of preservation and the devastating consequences when genetic and cultural legacies vanish. In a haunting final montage, the root cellar collapses, seed pouches shredded by invading rats. Amid the ruins, a single seed rolls gently into moss, a fragile remnant of a vanished garden. As it fades to black, the silence speaks volumes, marking the end of a cycle and the quiet tragedy of lost abundance. The end of a garden is the silence of loss. Scientists, gloved and precise, lean over microscopes as ultraviolet light reveals the hidden DNA within charred seeds recovered from ancient Viking sites. This advanced technology allows researchers to peer back through centuries, uncovering genetic codes once thought lost to time. Faces focused with intent, they trace the echoes of vanished gardens, piecing together a botanical heritage obscured by frost and fire. Though the Viking vegetables themselves disappeared, their genetic footprints remain, whispering clues about resilience and adaptation. This ongoing discovery offers hope that what was lost can guide the future if only we choose to listen. Geneticists now synthesize the closest living relatives of these extinct Viking crops from wild brassica species, using tools like CRISPR to replicate traits such as frost resistance and robust root development. DNA sequencing animations illustrate the editing process, as scientists carefully tweak genomes in pursuit of the elusive ice turnip. These efforts blend cutting-edge science with ancient knowledge, aiming to restore plants perfectly adapted to northern climates. A leading geneticist discusses both the promise and complexities of recreating lost varieties, emphasizing the delicate balance between innovation and preservation in bringing back what once sustained Viking communities. Across the Nordic countries, heirloom seed initiatives catalog and conserve native wild strains, safeguarding biodiversity and cultural legacy. Seed vaults, lined with rows of carefully labeled packets, preserve genetic diversity under controlled conditions. Farmers and researchers compare sketches of ancient seeds with live plants, bridging past and present through tactile connection. This work is both scientific and deeply personal, a custodianship of life and history. These communities act as guardians, ensuring that the genetic threads of Viking agriculture are not severed, but woven into future harvests. In modern urban farms, rooftop gardens grow bitter greens, once common on Norse tables, challenging contemporary palates and reviving forgotten flavors. Chefs sample the crisp, pungent leaves with curiosity and respect, bridging millennia of culinary tradition. These greens, hardy and nuanced, find new homes amid steel and glass, reconnecting city dwellers with ancient diets. The renewal of these flavors is a testament to resilience, a reclamation of taste that transcends time. In bustling kitchens, chefs simmer root stews and ferment vegetables according to reconstructed Viking recipes. The rhythmic chopping of roots and bubbling of pots evoke a living history, transforming ancient sustenance into contemporary cuisine. Plating rituals honor the earth's bounty, and each dish becomes a bridge across time, connecting diners to the rhythms of Viking life. This culinary resurrection celebrates both heritage and innovation, preserving stories through taste. Bjorn's descendant, a chef dedicated to ancestral flavors, crafts a lost root tasting menu featuring oddly shaped roots and revived variety. The presentation is deliberate, each bite a tribute to resilience and renewal. Diners savor the complex tastes, unaware of the centuries bridging plate and palate. The chef's pride is palpable, embodying a lineage that honors the past while shaping new traditions. Genetic diversity in crops acts as natural insurance against environmental challenges such as pests, drought, and disease. Fields of varied plants, whether storms and sunshine alike, their resilience rooted in difference. Visuals of diverse crops thriving amid changing weather illustrate nature's safeguard, This diversity is not just biological, it is a cornerstone of sustainable food security. Contrasting the sprawling monocultures of industrial agriculture, small-scale heirloom growers nurture local seed varieties, preserving both genetic resources and cultural heritage. The scale and intimacy of these farms contrast sharply with vast, uniform fields, highlighting an urgent need for stewardship. Protecting local seeds is essential to maintaining food sovereignty and resilience in a globalized world, increasingly vulnerable to environmental disruption. When a seed disappears, a story is lost, a link to heritage and identity. Conversely, restoring seeds is an act of reclaiming history and hope. Hands planting seedlings symbolize renewal, growth emerging from care and remembrance. This restoration nurtures not only plants but the cultural memory intertwined with them, offering a path forward rooted in the past. A table glows warmly beneath flickering torchlight, laden with reconstructed vegetables, colorful, irregular roots that speak of lost gardens reborn. Faces gather, bathed in soft light, sharing food and stories. This feast is both celebration and reclamation, a tangible connection to Viking heritage renewed. From these forgotten roots, new stories take root, growing toward a future nourished by memory and resilience. Seeds stir gently in the thawing soil as dawn breaks over Astrid's empty garden. Bjorn kneels carefully, scattering newly sprouted seedlings into the earth, each fragile green shoot a testament to renewal. What was once buried deep within peat layers now pushes toward light, bridging centuries of loss and revival. This moment is more than growth. It is a rekindling of life, long thought lost. The past, preserved in soil and memory, wakes anew with each tender sprout. In these simple acts of planting and tending, history becomes present, a living cycle connecting the hands of today with those who first sowed these seeds. The scene shifts between the silent, dark peat bogs, where these seeds once lay dormant, and the bright, controlled environment of modern greenhouses nurturing their rebirth. Close-ups reveal rune-etched stones, ancient markers of agricultural knowledge facing off against contemporary seed packets labeled reconstructed ice turnip. This visual dialogue connects eras, showing how ancestral wisdom and modern science intertwine to restore what was nearly forgotten. The contrast underscores a continuum of care, where old and new methods converge in the shared goal of preservation and resilience. These vanished vegetables once fed entire Viking societies, sustaining communities through harsh climates and uncertain times. Now, as their descendants sprout once more, they enrich not only our plates but our understanding of endurance and renewal. Every seed holds a story, a fragment of cultural memory and biological heritage that reminds us of the fragile threads linking past and future. A raven circles overhead, a timeless symbol of connection, as sunlight glints on the bright shoots below. May we never allow another story and another seed to disappear.